If your nib's too slow and your ink won't flow, here's one of the places that you can go. Larry is here to help you through with Mr. Announcer and Cubby too. It's Larry's Fountain Pen Reviews.
Okay, we're on. Yeah, hey guys, welcome everybody. So, folks, what's been happening in your world? Not yours, Greg. Craig, not yours. No, we'll just bypass Craig, okay?
Right.
Yeah,
just bypass me.
Kind of zoom away from my man.
Stay right on by me.
Yeah. No offense, peace and love. You know how that is.
It's all good now. It's all good.
Hey, actually, Craig, I gotta send you an email later. So I found when I was cleaning my my old room at my parents' house, I have a silver cross that's stamped with the Atocha on the back.
Really?
I vaguely
worked
remember
on that
getting
wreck,
it.
for years with Mel Fisher.
Yeah, I remember you made a comment about that when we were in the last call.
Yep.
So I used to go to school in Myrtle Beach, and there was a store in Myrtle Beach that sold stuff from the Atocha.
Right.
And for some reason, I remember my dad getting that when I was like 11. So I'm going to send you some pictures of it to see if it was, if you have any clue what it was, or if it was something you guys did, or if it was somebody after the fact that did it. But
Great.
It's pretty cool looking.
Great. Yeah, send me an email.
Will do.
No problem.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, Craig. Send us pictures of the locomotive, in the water.
Oh, I don't have pictures of that. That was
You don't have
buried.
pictures of that? No? Okay, I'll have to fish it. I'll have to look for
What it was two ships going to build the Panama Canal. They had to put a railroad.
it. Okay.
One of them got lost in a storm off of Florida. We found it in 2003 in Hawk Channel because we went across it with the magnetometer. It always happens when you're on a turn. We were making a turn and coming back into our imaginary box to do grid lines, survey lines called mowing the lawn.
Okay.
And it
The
went
map
off the chart.
out the
It
floor.
went off
Okay,
the
yeah.
charts at 3,000 gamma intensity hits. And we turned and went back across it to make sure we zigzagged across the target multiple times to make sure it was real. And it was in like 20 feet of water, no big deal, crystal clear.
Oh, wow.
Two humongous angelfish around the capstan. It was still protruding out of the sand. And there was some train wheels, some chain, and other train parts. And you could see the outline of the ship. And everything else was
That's pretty
just
cool.
sunk in the sand.
Yeah.
And it had been there since before they were building the Panama Canal. And they didn't know where it was. So we were working for the time for National Marine Sanctuary of the Florida Keys, and we reported it. And of course, a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of photos, which I don't have any now. But that was it, and they made it for a local dive site for local dive shops to take sport divers out, and now it's mapped.
Okay.
So there you go. But no, I did find a train on a ship on the bottom of the ocean.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Our guy collects trains. So I wanted to. Yeah, I'll look that up though.
And see, that's why a lot of my maps and a lot of my journaling and filling out forms went to Coast Guard, Washington, D.C., and National Marine Sanctuary of Florida, and archaeologists in Tallahassee. All that's done with fountain pen ink.
Huh.
Greetings, Mark.
That's cool.
Hello.
Yeah, I like the background. Pretty cool. Yes, I'm digging it.
Tony's here. Adam's here.
Larry,
Larry,
this is my buddy Adam.
Hey, Adam. Wow.
Hey,
Yeah. Wow.
how's it going?
Like I'm all bashful.
No, it's really great seeing all of you.
Wow. Hey, I'm digging that green in the back. of the
Thank
wall.
you.
That looks really awesome. I like the color for real. I like
Thank you so much.
Yep.
My whole condo is
place
done
is
like
green.
that.
Cool.
Hey, that's cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh my God, he's back, Craig. Oh, bless you.
Here, let me put my glasses on so I can
Oh, oh, oh. Yeah.
Hi, Tony.
Hey guys, well anyway, the latest news, seriously here, I want y'all to pay attention, focus. I went to the barber shop today. I got to the door, I couldn't do it. I left.
My wife cut my hair twice during the shutdown. She used to cut my hair all the time when we were younger, when we were in college, and I had her cut it twice. And I finally just I'm like, you know what? It's not. I don't care anymore. I'm just letting it go. Up until yesterday, I had a full beard. I hadn't shaved my beard in almost 3 weeks. But the problem is, it's now bright white. So I look like a midlife crisis Santa Claus with a white beard and black hair.
They got stuff in little bottles for that now.
Yeah.
I just my kid doesn't like it, so I just shave it off every once in a while. But yeah.
Wow.
There's a Robert Oster ring for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Eric's
Hey,
gonna
maybe we
join,
can do that.
Frank will
Eric's
hook
gonna
you
join
up.
the freak club. Eric's going to join the freak club. That's cool. All right.
Yeah, it's you know what? I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not going into work. I'm working from home, so I'm just it's long. Like it's down to my eyes. Like
I like that. Yeah, I like that style. That's unique. Yeah. The new geek style. I can dig it. Yeah.
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 Adam's got it easy. Frank's got it easy.
Oh, Frank does.
Brim did
Mark's
again
got it
this
easy
morning.
too.
Adam and Frank and Mr. Announcer and
Happens to the best of us.
Mr. Overman has it easy too. Yeah. Yeah. So hey, what's going on with the pin clubs, guys? The latest one I know is the one's going to be happening in Dallas. What's y'all thoughts on that one? Y'all going to be making that one or what?
I think that was a great explanation right there.
There you go.
I guess so. Yeah.
Enough said.
Terrible.
So I guess someone's going to make that as we move on.
If Jim was here, I don't see Jim on board yet. Is Jim Hines in the waiting room or?
Not yet. He's not here yet.
Francisco?
Not yet.
No one's in the waiting room. Everybody's in.
Okay.
And there's the main man, yes, waiting.
I see Mark Backus. Hi, sir.
Stan, there's Stan right there. So.
How you doing?
And did Tony make it yet?
My nibs are great as always.
Hey, Frank,
Yes, sir.
you got your pants on. I bet you can't stand up right now.
I went shopping last week. I bought pants that fit me. Told you guys about what happened to me during this lockdown. I actually lost weight unlike everybody else.
Nice.
Fine. Got off my fast food regimen, and I'm down to a size 32 waist. I lost 15 pounds during COVID instead of gaining it.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Down to my college weight. It's like, oh my God. Now I look like Mark's twin instead of looking like his father.
I lost.
There you go, Frank. Now you're down to honeymoon size.
There you go.
I wasn't my college weight in college.
I'm trying to get down to my original weight, 8 pounds 6 ounces.
Hey, Tony.
How you doing, Larry?
Good. Any gigs lately?
What's that?
Any gigs lately?
Yeah, we got one coming up Sunday. Yeah, I'll be playing for a wedding.
Nice.
So yeah, I've got a few. I've only got about 3 or 4 more for the rest of the year. That's it. But you know, there's not slowing up any people. The last few weddings I played at about 200 people, and they've no masks, so they're just going at it. Yeah.
Wow.
No fear, and when you're 20 years old, you have no fear.
Invincible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not just the 20-year-olds though. You know, they've got people back in school.
Yep.
And not a single room is really, well, they do the if they can, which means they can't, and that's their out. So, you know, I've got classrooms with 25 kids in them.
Yeah, Jay's got a classroom with 30 kids in them.
Yeah, I have to admit, our middle school kids have been doing really well on wearing the masks. They haven't complained about it.
No, the high school kids do good at wearing the mask. It's just the point that, well, it's that, but also they don't test. Like, we have very low positive numbers in school because they don't test anybody. That's how you keep the numbers down.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, we have a a little over 2-year-old who's just staying home. So she's getting taught at home by me and my wife.
I appreciated what he was trying to do.
But it's been good because she plays with fountain pens. She plays with my fountain pens now, which is hilarious. She calls them her fancy pens. Yeah. She has good taste. She has very good taste. She tried to steal Mont Blanc yesterday, and I was like, hey, let's not play with that. Let's put that down. Here's a Platinum Preppy. You can go break it.
That's the way.
Yeah, I'm teaching remotely this semester, both undergrad and graduate courses that I'm teaching, so which is fine by me right now.
Yeah, I'm down to I'm 1 day a week in person with my continuing ed class. So yeah.
I think Mike Matheson was saying that he's completely remote now, and I think he's at UNC for some reason. I want to say it's UNC.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah, but he had a post up because he did a review of the I'm going to say it wrong, Hobonichi Techo cousin, maybe, I think. And he was talking about that it's broken out into hours, so he was talking about planning out his virtual calls with students. But yeah, I think he said that they're completely virtual, like the whole college is shut down.
Yeah, it's
Francisco
weird that the
Lopez
college
is in the
was
house.
shut down, but not public school.
Go, guys.
And like the first 2 weeks of
Francisco.
school, I was teaching in person and remote at the same time.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well,
I'm glad I'm out of school.
Because he's driving down here.
Hey, Frank, I already told Adam I had one of those aha moments yesterday. I had a friend who tagged me on a Facebook post and said it was a friend of his that said, hey, would anybody be interested in buying some fountain pens? I have my father's estate that I like to sell. And my friend tagged me and goes, yeah, my buddy Eric likes pens. So, he swung by and he picked up he way overpaid, but he picked up 2 Parker 51s. You know how I feel about those. And he was like, he texted me and he's like, hey, it's a lot. You need to go take a look at this. So I drove over yesterday and she was like, yeah, she goes, my dad's been collecting for like 40 years. I'm like, oh, okay. And I walk in and it's 12 display cases in this basement. And I went, okay. So I sat there for a few minutes and I started going through it. It ended up being like 2 hours. So it was over 200 pens.
Wow.
And she threw me a number and I said, okay. So I wrote her a check and I bought the entire collection.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I literally knocked off all but one of my Grail pens in one day.
Are you gonna?
You had your some guy moment.
Oh, oh yes, I did. Yeah. What's
Eric,
that?
are you gonna post some pictures so we can look at them?
I'm gonna post some pictures, and there's out of that whole collection, there's probably 5 that I'm gonna keep, and everything else is gonna be sold. But yeah, I will put some there. The funny one is I got home and I found the one display case had a hidden drawer with like 15 other pens in there that I didn't even see.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, look, that's okay. All right. So I just sat down for a minute and I was like, this is going to be a lot to go through, but I finally got my 149. But I have to, it needs a little bit of work on it. But aside from that, I checked that box off now. So.
Good.
But yeah, I thought it was broken. It's one of the ebonite split feeds, and when I pulled it out, the nib is like flexing, and I'm like, oh man, the feed's broken. And I started looking like replacement feeds, and the first thing that popped up was like, if it's an 80s pen, it has a split feed. It's not broken. Do not glue the feed. And I looked at the pictures, and I was like, oh yeah, no, it's not a broken feed. It was a cool design. I don't know why. It's probably cost wise, but. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Larry. I know you have a 149, but it's
I got
feed,
2 of them. Yeah.
The feed literally is like split in half, so it like almost floats. So when you write with it, like it bounces. So it's designed to make it like more expressive. It's such a cool design. Like, I mean, aside from freaking me out thinking that I paid for a pen that is worthless and I can't use, but no, I was like, this is really cool. And then I easily found a dating system, and it's within a couple years from when I was born. So it's kind of cool to have a pen that's as old, or if not a little bit older than me.
Got a question for you guys. Need some feedback on Mont Blanc's 149. At one time, you were able to take the nib out. Was that a twist or a friction fit nib? Because the current ones now, you have to have that little gadget to get the nibs out.
Yep.
Isn't that correct?
I think
They're always free.
I thought they always needed the tool to unscrew the entire nib unit.
There was one guy told me last year or so that the pen that he had, they could take the nib out with no problem at all. But then later, Mont Blanc changed that, so you have to have a special tool to get that out. And I think on Stephen Brown review, he mentioned the same thing. You have to have a certain tool to get the nib out. Why they did that, yeah, I have no idea. I wish they
So you have to
So
send it
you
back
wouldn't
to them.
work on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish
But what's
they made
funny, that tool you can buy on eBay for about $12.
I wish they made the nibs like Pelican. You can just twist them out, easier to clean.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's because it's why they also don't sell parts, directly to people. Is they don't want you doing your own work.
Yeah, yeah. So hey, what is the hottest pin selling right now? Dun, 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 dun.
What? Me?
Anybody? The hottest pin. We'll go with
Retro
Franco.
51.
The what?
Any Retro 51.
Hey, before we get it, before anyone, I've got a story about the 149 when I was at the St. Louis Pen Show, and I was going to get Richard Bender to grind my nib down, and he took it, and I expected him to take a tool out, and he just got it, and he went, I said, he said, you didn't see that.
What? Really? Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm
That's
sticking
funny.
on mine. Sure, I'll break them. So no.
Yeah.
So what is the hottest pin besides? Is that all we have that's hot right now? You mean?
Well, I
to tell
know,
me-
Frank, you just put up about the new Vanishing Point, right? Didn't they just have another limited edition Vanishing Point or something come out?
It looks
yeah.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Oh,
bad
yeah.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
You know,
not.
yep, the Stealth taking a step further in the kilo shape pattern. It comes in this
Oh.
awesome
It's
little
hot.
display.
Yeah, it's hot.
So
No,
the
Eric,
latest
you can't
stuff
do
in this week includes this guy. Here's the presentation case, magnetic. Inside, once you open that,
Open. Look at that thing.
it comes like this.
Oh, that's pretty.
It's beautiful.
And it is basically a beautiful pen. It is all black. It is the Stealth,
Look at that.
but
Gorgeous.
it is machined in guilloche, as you can see,
Ah, that's cool.
with that infamous reptile pattern.
That's pretty cool.
Most dealers got their allotment. I have a few, and they're 286. We weren't told to, but we're all kind of in agreement where we're not, discounting it. We're just charging the lists, and that's it. Of course, some of you can find a code or two on my site somewhere or somebody and possibly get this for less than a list. Possibly. I'm just saying.
I was trying to think what else has released recently.
Give me a second.
But it has.
I'll show you
Well,
all-
he's
I'll
thinking
show you all
about
the
that.
goodies.
Liz in the chat is asking about who would be able to identify a Waterman pen if she
Brian
sent you
Anderson.
some photos.
Brian Anderson. Unless there's somebody in this group, sorry. I just sent one to him that I got in that collection, but I know he's like an all-around expert on Waterman pens.
That is the latest from Pilot. What else? The new Colorverse Project inks came in, and this is the hot one from that. This is the shiny black. Okay, so if you've ever wanted a black that has some fleck in it for sheen with silver, this is your ink.
So is it a shimmer ink or a sheen ink?
It is a shimmer ink, basically.
Oh, huh.
They're glistening, they call them,
Oh, yeah.
They have a new project series, 10 new colors, and that's the glistening one. All right, so I was doodling. It's this guy here. This one right there, my middle finger. Yeah, my middle finger. Wrong finger to point at.
I can't see.
Look
Let
up.
me put my glasses on.
I know. Tough to see.
Hey, Frank, how big are the particulates in that? I mean, is it probably going to clog up our pens or what? What do you think?
It's just like any of the other
Any other-
Colorverse.
yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it in vintage pens, in a modern pen, in a modern feed, same thing. It's one of the reasons why I made sure with Rob Oster that none of my inks were glistening with him. I never bothered with any of them shimmery inks and all that. I always go for traditional things. I like color variation, but I like glistening, but you know, you really got to be careful what pen it's in, you know, especially now as a dealer. I don't want to be responsible for any damaged pens and all. All right, so I had it in this pen, and I just played with it again, and you can see that it's shimmering.
Yeah, Frank, it's a little known fact that Adam is absolutely obsessed with glitter inks. They're like his favorite thing in the world. I'm joking. It's the bane of his existence. He hates glitter inks. It's been a running joke. I've been trying for 5 years now. I think 5 years to get him to accidentally write with a glitter pen. And
Hopefully somebody caught that there. I'm not sure. I think you can see the variation, but yeah, it's in there. It's subtle.
That's cool.
And that's the project colors go along with the everyday colors they did and all, you know. We still have them little 5 milliliter sample bottles, which are basically this scaled down to 5 milliliters as a tester, you know, as a sample, which is really good. They did that with all of their standard season inks, you know, season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the stuff that's Joy in the Ordinary, the office colors, these new project inks, I offer my 4 milliliter vial sample. You know, I do them too. And then I sell the regular colorverse samples in them that they offer now in the 5 milliliters. Of course, I got all my Frankly colors. Everybody knows about the Frankly 5th, my exclusive 5th anniversary color, my little blurple that Craig did paintings on for all of them, not just that one. He did them for all 4 of my inks. So this one celebrated my 5th anniversary as opposed to Rob and I celebrating our anniversary together. You know, so this one was for me. So I did, we did Frankly Blue, Scarlet, Green, and now I got Frankly 5th for mine. So that's good. And
I like the color of the Frankly 5th. It came out nice.
Yeah, man, thanks. The other latest thing in this week, aside from those, is the new Esterbrook Maraschino Cherry. This is an FE pen. That's cherry. So these are going to be limited editions called Maraschino Cherry. They come in gold plated or palladium plated, just like the other ones did, but this is going to be a limited edition color. It comes in standard size and it also comes in oversize.
Nice.
Same price, just a limited run. When they're sold out, they're sold out. I believe they made 800 of each.
Now the standard size, doesn't that use like a number 5 nib?
No, there's still 6. There's 6 Yogo.
Okay.
Yep. And you could buy that adapter that allows you to put old Esterbrook Renewed points in it.
That new one they just brought out, the JR, can you use the MV adapter on those?
No.
Why?
They are the number 5, but that pen is awesome. You know what?
Yeah.
Give them in it.
I know, Adam, you got one of those, didn't you?
Right here.
Yep.
Wow. Adam's on the ball, yeah. Huh.
Well, my pens are already here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How you liking it? Is it nice?
Yeah, I love it. I've got an extra fine nib on this one. Originally, I played with a broad nib on it, and that thing laid down a nice line of ink.
Yeah, I like a nice wet nib. So, but you know, extra fine just depends on the nib. It's not scratchy, is it?
No, not at all.
You have any samples of writing with that one?
No, but I can do it real quick.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to see that little nib in action there.
Sure.
So it is a number 5 Yogo. What they did was they sent it to dealers and some pen enthusiasts, you know, reviewers ahead of time. And as soon as I opened them up, they sent me, you know, one of each. And as soon as I opened it up, it was like, wow, this is the pen you should have made all along, because it really does resemble the original J. You know, here's an original black J, just to show you. It just so reminds you of it. This is the tuxedo one. This is they're all cloudy. This is the black with gray accents in it. So this is one they call a tuxedo. There's a blue one in Capri with gold plated trim. And there is a red colored one too, like a ruby one. So it's got a little, you know, metal finial front and bottom. And other than that ring here, that made a lot of people think it was a piston fill. That cool. But I told him, I said, as soon as it came out, I said, great. I said, all you need now is an oversized with to handle the MV adapter for the old time nibs. And they're like, we're working on it. I'm like, great.
What pin was that? What pin was that, Frank?
This is the SDJR, the
Okay.
J.
Now, when did that one come out? When did this one come out?
This came out like last month.
Wow. Okay.
So it's the new pen. It comes in 3 colors, like I mentioned. Number 5 nibs, smaller than the 6. Extra fine, medium, broad. It comes in those color gradations, the 3. And really, really nice. Like I said, it's the perfect size. It reminds you of the J. You know, if you were into that original J pen, basically the same dimensions for all intents and purposes. Number 5 nib, so it doesn't take the adapter for the old time nibs. Just like the Camden pens and the Camden compositions are actually Schmidt nibs. They're number 7 Schmidts. They don't take the MV adapter either.
Huh.
Okay, thanks.
I do love both.
There's the 5 and the 6, you know.
All right. I'm ready for you. Let's see it. You getting your writing done there, Adam?
Oh yeah. So just a little writing sample of the extra fine. I mean,
Okay,
is that
that's
good?
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry guys.
Oh, looks nice.
What ink are you using, Adam?
It was the Monteverdi Sweet Life Cherry Danish.
I have that in like 4 of my pens right now. I love that freaking color.
Yeah, and I
It's
like
so
how
pretty.
it was between the strawberry shortcake and the cherry Danish to match.
Yeah.
And that one matches best.
It's such a cool color. When I first got it, I was like, ugh. And then I put it in my I have a clear eco. And I was watching it slosh around. I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of pretty. And then I forgot about it for like a month. I mean, eco, it doesn't dry out. But like I forgot about it and I grabbed a pen to write a note and I started writing. I stopped and I was like, oh, damn, that's pretty. And I was like, what is this? And I had to sit for a minute. I was like, it's cherry Danish. So I just went and filled 3 more pens with it so I had that in my work bag.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, I definitely love the new JR for sure. The Carmine Red just really struck me. But, you know, for the tuxedo one, you know, like you were showing, Frank, I mean, that's a good pen, that tuxedo finish.
Yeah.
I really like the marbled finish on that. The nibs, all those different nib sizes, I mean, with them being Yowo nibs, I can never say it right.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but those all just write like a dream.
Yeah.
So,
I've never had a bad Joe nib, ever.
yup.
No. And I joked about that our last meeting, you know, everybody's like, Yovo Steel.
Yep.
Jovo, Yovo,
Yeah.
Jovo, Yovo. Jovo Steel, Bach Gold seems to be the popular.
It's funny. I've thrown the tipping off of 2 different Yovo nibs.
Really?
Like while I was writing, I've had the tipping come off on a time twice, which I didn't think of it as any kind of a big deal, only because you don't hear of it really happening.
Yeah.
So
That's weird.
it's in the millions of nibs that have been made. I've twice, and both of them were Yovo, which was strange to me.
That's crazy.
None are perfect, you know. And,
Well, exactly. I'm not going to get upset about it.
Yeah.
It's a Yovo, which means you can replace it easily.
I have one Yovo nib, one pen with Yovo nib and one pen with Bach nib, and I prefer Bach nib
Oh, really?
to Yovo. Yeah.
Some people do. I mean, I like them both. The main reason why a lot of makers, I'm going to throw you guys under the bus, I guess, right now. I'm sorry. I see Jim's on board. The main reason why a lot of makers go with Yovo, a lot of it has to do with accessibility. If you deal with Bach wants you to buy in bulk. And my nibs are Bach because I am piggybacking with another provider. He's getting me nibs and he's getting them stamped for me, you know, and I'm paying for that. But I'm piggybacking.
Hey, come on, Frank. Tell it the way it really is.
I'm piggybacking with
And that's
another
good.
vendor.
That's good
how
to
I'm
know,
getting
Frank.
away
I'm
with
going to wind up then actually picking up some nibs for that, because while typically I can say I prefer proprietary nibs, like in-house from companies,
Yeah.
in the Yovo Bach, I prefer Bach. I think they're a little bit softer to write with.
Yeah, that's what I noticed.
They're pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like I said, that's
So,
the main reason, because it's actually a little cheaper to deal with Yovo than it is Bach, and that has a lot to do with it.
And see,
And
I've
then
only
you
had
have-
two bad. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Frank.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I had the only like negative experience I've ever had with Bach twice. It was the exact same thing. Was that the feed and nib had to be heat set. It was after it was a commercial made pen, like it was a well-known company, but it happened twice. I bought it, and both times the nibs had to be heat set because they would not write at all out of the box. And I thought initially that I was like, oh, maybe it's the ink I'm using, maybe it's not. Like I checked the time, I was like, no, the times look fine, and I kept looking at it. Finally realized I was like, there's a solid gap between the feed and the nib. And when I was at one of the DC, or I think it was the DC show, and I was talking to JJ Lax, and I had made a comment, or I keep calling him Joshua, and I made a comment about the pen I had that wasn't working. And he goes, let me take a look at it. And I showed it to him. He goes, it just needs to be heat set. So he had a water thing with like a heating element, and he just like boiled it for like a minute and just held it and was like, all right, here you go. And it worked fine. But he was like, yeah, he goes, that's the one thing that he hears every once in a while is that Bach, just you have to heat set the nib occasionally, which for me, that's kind of like a pain in the butt because it's not something I knew how to do. Whereas Yo nibs, every time I get it out of a box, flush it, ink, boom, done. But again, that may have just been the one-off. It just happened to be two pens from the same company with Bach nibs.
And you're sitting with ebonite feeds, right?
What's that?
Ebonite feeds, right?
Plastic feed.
Wow, you keep setting with plastic feeds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the modern ones with them, they are. When you just buy them off the shelf from them, yeah.
Yeah. But once it was done, they wrote beautifully. I mean, they write absolutely phenomenal. But I had never heard. That's why it caught me off guard because it was a plastic feed. And I'd only ever heard of heat setting with ebonite. And he was like, "Yeah, it happens from time to time." He's like, "I've done it a couple times where people have brought them over to me, and it's just they're not set properly." So
Kind of like adjusting your glasses too. You know, when you go to optician and you've done something, and they put the your frames in hot sand.
Yep.
They manipulate them. Same kind of principle.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that the funny thing is that people will complain on a pen when it's not perfect out of the box, but your car gets recalled when it's brand new to fix something, and people don't get upset, and that's significantly more expensive.
Yeah.
You know, that if people would just look at the pens and realize, even though they're relatively few parts, it's still a lot of parts coming together, and minor adjustments for happiness. Not really worth a complaint. Like I said, I've had pens that have had problems. Unless I will say, if you were to have when you have to send it back and be separated for a couple months, but even still, minor stuff to be fixed.
Yeah, you play with different pens. You know the sweet spots. You know, yes, Yovo does have a different sweet spot, and you do find it. You know, the more you deal with them. And, you know, I got the Bach nibs, and Mark Backus has actually done them for me. He did italic stubs on my mediums and broads, and he recommended that I turn my fine nibs into Architects, and they've worked out pretty good. I gave Larry one for review, and that went pretty good, you know, so yeah.
Last year at the Cabbage Town Street Fair, we were at the photograph booth at the same time.
Somebody got something on there. On TV.
How are you dealing with the issue of the writing angle with the Architects? Because when I've had one made, it had, you know, it has to do with the angle you actually hold to the paper.
Larry, you want to get on that? Because
you know, at first, when I first put the nib to paper, to tell you the truth, I really didn't like it. I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't like the way it wrote. But after I gave it a few more shots, man, the nib just took off like skyrocket. It's a nice, great nib, and you know, I just hold my pen as record 45, and it just takes off right in. I thought it's a great nib. I was impressed with it.
Yeah, I got good variation out of the fine point one.
Yeah, it was really
great
good
spot. Yeah,
on that pen.
Mark, you want to pick up from there?
They're ground at a kind of a standard writing angle, so like a 45 degree, middle of the road writing angle. You're right, though. I mean, the Architect is generally ground at a specific angle. So typically, you know, I get them in, and that's one of the things that's on the form I have is what's your writing angle. So typically,
well, when I had an architect done, that's what I had to do was I had to take a picture of myself writing really and sit down and measure an angle.
Yeah, I usually reference like a clock. So like if you looked at your hand and the tip of the pen, is it pointing at 1 o'clock? You know, if you were looking at it from the side, is it 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, in between 1 and 2 o'clock? You know, but I give the angles as well. But then I also do a hybrid where the base of the architect is curved or rounded, so that if you are prone to be sloppy or not always hold your nib at a specific angle, it'll still function. Functions.
So you're grinding them as they're ordered. It sounded like the fines were being ground to architect and there.
That was me doing that with my Federalist Pens nibs, Bach. I have my own nibs now.
Yeah.
Mark, you did a hybrid for me at the Baltimore show, and that thing is freaking amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Mark, I might check that out next time. The hybrid, yeah.
It's cool. I had him do it. I think it was on I can't remember if it's a medium or a broad. I had it done on my Opus 88 Omar, so it's a lot of ink to play with. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to offer something different besides just standard extra fine, medium, and broad nibs. You know,
it's one of the reasons you don't see a stock architect.
Mm-hmm. You would warn me about that.
You see a stock italic and stock stub and stuff like that, but you don't see a stock architect, or you see a naginata like the naginata togi, which is just a continuous curve. So you know, things like that, and which I do a similar type of grind. I do a blade style grind, which is a continuous curve. So that would be something that could be, you know, a general type nib, but the architect gives you more line variation. So
I had always wondered why they didn't have those generally available. That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
I got a silly question for you. How do you think the M1000 nib would hold up to being ground to a Japanese fine?
I've probably done one before. I'm trying to think. So the M1000 nibs are kind of interesting because some are on the firmer side and some are on the extremely springy side. So it would kind of depend. The other issue is the M1000. A lot of times when they cut the slit on those, and because of the shape of the nib and how large it is, the tipping default shape when they grind it and polish it after their finishing work from Pelican or whoever does that nib, the tipping's sometimes a little off the way that it's set up. It's probably one of the tougher nibs to grind and do like a reduction in size. So I'd have to see the nib. It's possible, but I'd probably need to look at it.
Yeah, I've considered doing that, but I don't want to get a nib to have it ground that way. Yeah. Because I have a fine and I love that fine the way it is, but I like writing with Japanese fines.
Yeah.
But so I don't want to mess with what I know I like, and I'd be willing to get one. But so yeah, it looks. I was just curious because that's a gamble. That's an expensive gamble.
That's where you just look at like the boards where somebody's selling a really busted M1000 for parts, and you just buy it for the nib.
And that's where I've gotten oblique broad, and I've got an oblique double broad. So I've got a couple different nibs for that in that same way.
This is these are all from one customer, and he wanted them all to be like Japanese extra fines.
What are those? Are those all Schaefer's?
They're all pins for men's.
Okay.
7 of them.
Dang. He has a preference.
Wow. Wow. Where comes to mind.
Well, so I know I was talking to one of the grinders at I think it was a DC show, and he was talking about he had a customer who brought in, and he preferred extra fine everything, and he brought it was like 8 or 9 different pens, but they were ranging from like just off the line produced all the way back to like 1930s pens, and wanted everything ground to extra fine. And he's like, he had a discussion because one of the pens that he had was like a first year made like Montegrappa from like the 1920s, and it was a super valuable pen.
Yeah.
And it was going from a broad nib to an extra fine. And he told him, he's like, are you really sure you want to do this? Because like you can't replace the nib, you can't really replace the pen. Like this is it. Like you can't change it. The guy goes, nah, I know what I like. And he goes, worst case scenario, I'll just buy another one. He goes, well, if you have that much money to blow that you don't really care, that's fine. But like, good God, I was like, that's a lot of gold being taken away. But yeah.
Wow. Hey, Jim Hines. What's going on with Dallas next week? What's going on with Dallas next week?
Apparently, Francisco talked to Drum Ghouls, and they're going to do a little mini show.
Okay.
Space people way out in the same rooms that they normally do. But it's going to be all the big vendors.
Nice.
All the major brands.
Cool. Yeah, so I saw their post, like David Oscarson's going to be there too?
Yep.
Okay.
So, but I think on the custom maker side, it's just me.
Okay. Which is good, sure.
And I think the only other small vendor that's going is Nick Pang.
Oh, really?
He's gonna go. Okay, wow. Okay.
He's a fun guy. I like him.
Any repair people or?
They're going to have one nib grinder. I'm not sure who it is. Francisco?
Kirk Spear.
There you go.
Okay.
But I don't think, other than Dallas Pen Club people who might be attending, I don't know about any specific repair folks. It's a very short list. So it
Sounds like it would be a decent show for considering that we really didn't have any shows this year after Baltimore and Long Island, you know.
Well, considering they're not really marketing it a whole lot, we'll have to see.
I saw there was a pen show in Germany. My friend Dave, Penultimate Dave, sent me a link that they had one over there, and there was a number of vendors. I was kind of surprised. Not very many people, at least not in the video that I saw.
I know they had one in India like 2 weeks ago. I'm in one of the, I think it's India Pen
and that's surprising considering how
yeah.
big.
Oh yeah, but yeah, they had a bunch of pictures. Now it may have been delayed pictures. I can't imagine them waiting 6 months or 8 months to put them up. But
still waiting for product to come from India. You know, they had such a lot. You know, yeah.
I was listening to the Japanese Tokyo Inklings podcast, and it sounded like they had some large ink event in Japan.